it's just interesting just to generally talk about the state of the industry, because again,
Absolutely.
it's still relatively new in the great span of everything, I guess. And it's
Yep.
just interesting to kind of see where things are going, and I guess try and predict where the ball's gonna hit next.
I think for me, since I am so involved in a lot of educational things, and I do have JW Sound, which I think is a pretty popular forum discussion group, and
Yeah.
I feel a real responsibility to try and keep as much of the sort of creative and the art of listening in our craft, and I just see a lot of it going away for a lot of the reasons that we've just discussed. But it might be one of those things where we just have to realize it is a new world, and the audiences are accepting what it is, and just try and express that creativity in other areas and not try and put the brakes on a lot of the sort of technological things that have happened. But I still think we have to put the brakes on certain things like the long hours and all, which again relates in a very twisted way to the economics of everything. But I think it's deeper than just the economics, because it's even been demonstrated that financially, rather than working a 14-hour day, a 14-hour day, a 14-hour day, add 2 days to the schedule. It'll cost the same, and you won't be working those hours, but they still can't. I mean, fortunately, I think the whole 12 on, 12 off movement is getting a little bit of traction. I'm really very much feeling good about a number of productions that I've been hearing about that actually have been doing 12 on and 12 off, even on TV shows and stuff like that. Maybe they've had 1 or 2 long days, but it's not every show that is in this mode of working 14-hour days, 14-hour days, 14-hour days, and then the Friday where you work all Friday night into Saturday and have no weekend and you're back at work at 6 in the morning on Monday. There was just a posting on JW Sound from Robert Sharman, who has recently moved back to the UK. And he was saying that in England, they still, on the productions that he was on, they still vote whether to go into overtime or not. Is that really true? Or is that, because that used to be the case in the UK, that you'd get in your 10th, 11th, maybe your 12th hour, or maybe like the 11th hour. And because of the location or because of you gotten behind or whatever like that, they would actually ask the crew, can we go into and do an hour of overtime or whatever? Is that still happening?
I mean, I can't speak for the level of production that he's on, but even for the kind of mid-tier, low budget stuff that I do, it's still people go around and you do get kind of asked like, we're gonna.
But I imagine a lot of people do agree to it because first of all, they like the money. So because that's part of the problem here also is that people got used to all that overtime, even though it's killing them. In some cases, actually killing them, because they're making more money. I've always explained that one of the reasons why the long hours started to happen is in the old days, but not the ancient days, but in the old days, we would make, the people that were like top of the heap, the really experienced, really good sound mixers and other crew people, they would go in and they would make a money deal called the 12-hour guarantee, which meant that you would be guaranteed 12 hours of pay. But the day wasn't 12 hours. The day was still 10, 9, maybe 11 on a bad day, and on. But because they didn't want the studio to know that they were making an overscale deal. You would make a 12-hour guarantee at scale, which they're required to pay you scale because that was the union rate. But they knew to get Jeff Wexler, to get somebody else on the job, they were going to have to do something to fill out that deal. So rather than money under the table, because that was also done, or bonuses and things like that, they were reluctant to do any of that with like regular below the line crew people. But they were very happy to make the 12-hour guarantee. But after a number of us were making this 12-hour guarantee, somebody in production would say, we're paying these people 12 hours. We better start working 12 hours. You know, I think it's great that you got Jeff Wexler to do your sound, and I realize that you wouldn't have got him if you said, you know, here's the deal. You're going to be working at scale. You know, it's going to be the usual 10-hour day. You're not going to make any money. You're also not you're not rewarding Jeff Wexler for anything. You're paying him the same thing you would pay somebody who's been in the union for, you know, for a year and has maybe done 3 movies, you know. So the value of the 12-hour guarantee kind of went away for us because we were making the deal, but we were working the 12 hours. So,
Yeah.
you know, of course they had to guarantee us 12 hours because we were working them. And then they started working 13 hours and 14 hours. And then various other things in the contract went away. Meal penalties, you know, were cut down. You know, they started instituting, you know, the grace period and extensions. They did away with night premium, which meant that when you went past a certain hour, you went into overtime. Even if, you know, if you started past, this is the way it was in New York. If you started at 8 o'clock at night, you were in double time when you started. Okay.
Right,
so
right.
think about the number of movies that wanted to shoot exterior at night in New York. They just wouldn't do it. You know, they would go out and maybe they would schedule one day, let's say on a Friday, because also if you went past midnight, you go into like double whatever your prevailing rate was. So what they would do for night shooting in New York is they bring everybody in as soon as it was dark. Okay. You may even have rehearsed the scene. They may have pre-lit the street. Bring them in as soon as it's dark. Okay. Shoot the shit out of it. And then get out of there and wrap before midnight on a Friday. Wow. So they pay a little extra money, but it ended up not really costing any more than like a normal day shoot. Or on some productions, they would say, you know, there's all this night shooting out there, you know, couldn't you take scene 28 and like put it indoors?
Right.
Couldn't we go and shoot, you know, shoot during the day, blacken the location and just do that last shot, the drive up at night and do that and then wrap by 8 o'clock? You know, or whatever. So there were all those economic disincentives to keep the hours short. Well, a lot of those just went away, and it really wasn't costing them that much more. But in terms of the crew enjoying the overtime, it was more money to the crew. And so, you know, that boat that they wanted to buy or that house that they wanted to buy or whatever, they figured, Jesus, you know, I'm on this job and we're working the short hours, but it's killing me. You know, I mean, I've even heard people say that. And I said, well, you know, you can be working the long hours and it could be killing you, killing you slowly. So, you know, the thing with the long hours is that it really is a safety and health issue. And the producers should not be allowed to work the long hours. And it should be viewed as the same thing as not working in a condemned building where there's asbestos or anything else like that. But it's just the problem and again, it's a problem of our culture and capitalism that if you're paying people, it can't be wrong. In other words, if you're paying people for their work, it's you've agreed to it. It has to be okay. You know, if you did what evidently Walmart has been accused of doing, which is locking the doors and keeping people there and not paying them overtime. I mean, that, you know, that's got to stop, obviously. But working people longer hours than they should, when you do have some people on the crew who've sort of gotten used to it and they really don't want to get on those shows that's working the short hours, they shouldn't be allowed to work those hours. And the people that have been counting on that overtime are going to have to either get in some other business or, you know, supplement their income with something else, or try and embrace the fact that they may live a little longer. They'll have more time with their family, if their family is even still around, because, you know, family may have already left town because they never see you. You know, I mean, the number of divorces and the number of, you know, there was this cartoon that actually related to somebody that was always watching sports, you know, sort of like round the clock. This guy sitting in front of his TV and all that, and the kid walks up and he looks over, he says, "Oh, you must be little Jimmy." You know, it's like his kid. He's never even seen his kid, and all of a sudden his kid is like 5 years old. Well, you know, it happens in the movie business with location work and all that sort of stuff. And again, unfortunately, culturally and socially, there are crew people that have made use of this. There are crew people that have like parallel lives, you know. They love going away on location, and they got the girlfriend on location and whatever. They're sending the checks back home, and you know, it's just it's a mess.